We have two words of the week this week, gινομαι and eİmι. Specifically, gινομαι and eİmι as they are used in John chapter 8, verse 58. And let us take a look in the ESV. Jesus said to them, "Truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am." Our focus today is on the phrase, before Abraham was, I am. Let's take a look in Πριν Abraham genesthai ego eİmι. So before Abraham, πριν Abraham, before Abraham, genesthai, came into being or was born, ego eİmι, I am. So we have two verbs in the sentence. Gινομαι, in this case it was genesthai, which is a form of gινομαι, and eİmι. Gινομαι is about beginning. It's about something coming into existence. It's about an event happening. When it's talking about a person coming into existence, it's about their birth. It's about the emergence of a movement or some such thing. It's about something taking place. Whereas eİmι is the first person singular of the verb to be. It's I am. It's about existing, about being. So here, gινομαι is genesthai, a second aorist infinitive, which we would translate as came into being or was born. So before Abraham was born, I am. Before Abraham came into being, I am, is the quote of Jesus in John's Gospel. So let's take a look at it. So we see what's happening here grammatically. Genesthai here is an adverbial infinitive of subsequent time. Does that matter? Probably doesn't matter all that much to you, but it's worth unpacking the grammar so we understand why he used an infinitive here and not an indicative verb. Not just Abraham was born. He used the infinitive, this adverbial infinitive of subsequent time, because what that means is that the action of the infinitive happened subsequent to the action of the finite verb in the sentence. So in this case, what's the finite verb? It's eİmι, because it's not an infinitive, it's in the indicative. So when Jesus says I am, he's saying the birth of Abraham is subsequent to the being of himself, of Jesus, of ego here, which is the substantive for Jesus, right? He says, before Abraham was, ego eİmι, I am. So subsequent to the existence of Jesus was the birth or the coming into being of Abraham. That's what makes this an adverbial infinitive of subsequent time. There's your grammar for the week. I hope that didn't choke you up too much. So what's the contrast being shown here? The contrast between Abraham and Jesus, or in the verse between Abraham and ego, is a contrast in time, in existence. So it's a temporal contrast. Abraham had a known beginning and a known end. But what does Jesus say about himself? Ego eİmι. I am, I exist. He declares his existence before the birth of Abraham, which is where this gets very grammatically interesting. So what we would expect, if all he wanted to do was say that I existed before Abraham was born, I'm going to pop this up in an alternate version. If we change to what we would expect. We would expect πριν Abraham genesthai ego eİmī, which is the imperfect tense indicative of eİmι, I was, right? If all you want to say was, before Abraham came into being, I already was, you would expect the imperfect tense, a linear action in the past. But he doesn't give us that. Or he could also just give us an imperfect form, not an imperfect form, pardon me, an aorist indicative of gινομαι and say, you know, I was born before he was. But clearly that's not what he's saying. So we would expect eimi, the imperfect indicative first person singular, before Abraham came into being, I was, but that's not what we get. We get, before Abraham came into being or was born, I am. By using the present tense, what Jesus is saying is not just I was, but I am, meaning an unqualified and unbounded existence. There's no boundaries on the existence that he's describing. When Abraham was being born, I am. Here and now talking to you today, I am. At the moment of creation, I am. At the parousia, the second coming, I am. Jesus is saying, not I was, not I was there, or not I had knowledge of this. Jesus is saying, when Abraham came into being, your ultimate patriarchal forefather, I am. He's paraphrasing the statement of God to Moses in Exodus 3:14, I am that I am. He's making a declaration about himself that is mind-blowing. Whereas Abraham had a known beginning and an end, Jesus, the Jesus of John's gospel, I should say, declares self-existence. I am when Abraham was born. I am at creation. If you read John 1 through 1:3 through 1:4. I am here and now. I am at the second coming. His existence isn't bound the way Abraham's was or the way his hearers was. So ginomi is about beginnings, about being born, about coming into existence. Eimi is about being. And Jesus' choice of the present tense for eimi when he described himself in contrast with Abraham, before Abraham came into being, I am. I exist throughout and outside of time, makes this the most fascinating and interesting use of ginomi and eimi together in the New Testament. In John chapter 8, verse 58, those are our words of the week. I hope that was good for you. And until we see each other again, Charis Kai Reine Humin, grace and peace to you.